This is the first part of the soundtrack of a 2002 movie directed by Gaspar Noé called Irreversible, a song called Rectum, composed by one of the Daft Punk frontmen, Thomas Bangalter. The nauseating tone the soundtrack track starts with and later devolves into should set anyone like me into the tone of the film, if not drive someone like me crazy, like it did on my first watch of the film. This film, Irreversible, is a trip into destruction of not just the story's characters, but also into destruction of the viewer's psyche and sanity. Let me tell you about the film that broke my sanity. Gaspar Noé is not your average movie maker, to say the least. He was born in Argentina later to live the rest of his life in France, a place where he will spend his time making films and other projects. Notably, if you see a Gaspar Noé film like I did, you'll notice that most of his filmography is pretty extreme, hard to digest, as I say, in the sort of cinema he calls cinéma du corps. And I do apologize if I butcher French, but I'm not particularly a person fond of French. This cinema of the body, as film historian Tim Palmer will initially describe it, is a kind of film Gaspar Noé makes that is pretty hard to swallow, pretty prominent with challenging sexual and violent imagery, as well as a nearly incomprehensible manner of storytelling. These films are designed to not just be weird, but also uncomfortably weird, in a way that will make the whole Cannes Festival Theater instantly flee the theater and leave the film immediately. Particularly, I'm not either fond of this type of cinema, because I'm the kind of person who honestly wins dramatically at the first season's first episode's portrayal of sexual assault on the boys and quit it right there. And I do have serious qualms on watching portrayals of sexual assault or hyper-violent imagery on film in a way that makes me uncomfortable. And as a complimentary fact, I like to say that I wouldn't stand the intro of 28 Days Later because of how disgusting the body horror of that really felt, especially when I was about to eat pizza or something. I mean, who eats pizza while watching that? You're pretty much inviting yourself to feel bad in your stomach. But Noé, because of this, is a very confrontational movie maker, often showcasing a viewer's social nihilism and despair in his films, striking viewers with confrontation. And this clearly is evident because in this film, I Stand Alone, a film from 1998, they put a block of text warning viewers to leave the cinema in 30 seconds if they want to see the super violent climax. You can tell a lot of this footage I cannot show in a YouTube video because otherwise the YouTube bots will violate my anal sphincter and give me a ban. I wasn't joking on the trigger warning. A lot of these movies include depictions of ultra-violent, severe sexual assault, and even the occasional homophobia or transphobia, which are a complement to his sort of nihilistic view of society. But, okay, what is Irreversible? Irreversible is the second feature film by Gaspar Noé, released in 2002. This film is, like I said, notorious for its very crude and uncomfortable audiovisuals, often surfing into shock value. Certain scenes in a movie, even, especially a couple ones that we'll tackle later with more care, have made the attendance of the Cannes Film Festival to flee the theater in disgust, so you easily know what the mixed reception of this film was all about. A thing you'll easily notice about this film is that the storytelling is completely made in reverse, and this is Noé's deliberate choice of illegible storytelling here, and the end is at the beginning, and the beginning is at the end. The story revolves around Marcus, a man who, next to his friend Pierre, seeks revenge against Latania for sexually assaulting and nearly fatally injuring his girlfriend Alex, who's also Pierre's ex. The movie begins right where the story ends, Marcus being driven into an ambulance and Pierre being arrested, leaving a gay club conveniently called Rectum, which I believe is an actual swingers club in England, in London or something, as far as I know, but as much of a curious fun fact that is, I can be 100% certain, especially after COVID times. The movie goes on with the nauseating Thomas Bangalter track Rectum as Marcus tries to find Latania inside the club, where after asking a few of its denizens finds him and afterwards proceeds to get into a heated argument later for Marcus to be thrown into the ground by Tanya, having his arm broken and about to be sexually assaulted. Now, the following scene is up to your imagination because I refuse to risk the YouTube bots giving up a swift banhammer, but Pierre later comes to the rescue, beating Tanya with a fire extinguisher, spending a few excruciating minutes beating Tanya 23 times in the face, leaving his face like an amorphous pulp. As the film progresses, there's a sequence of interrogations made by Marcus and Pierre to find out the location of Tanya in the end, where the revenge plot is revealed, even to the point of hungrily harassing a transformed sex worker who is often referred to by her dead name. Pierre's son discovered afterwards that Alex had left for a party where the two men were in because of Marcus' rather boorish behavior, only to be unable to pick up a taxi and being obligated to go through a red underpass, where Tanya is harassing the aforementioned trans sex worker. Alex is later caught by Tanya and threatened with a knife. And this scene, I can't either show here, and you'll know I mean it by this. The following scene is 10 excruciating, agonizing minutes of Alex being sexually assaulted by Tanya in the red tunnel before being nearly fatally beaten, and by this point the shock value of the movie is completely over. There are no more gruesome scenes here, but these two scenes, the beating and the sexual assault ones, have already left a serious mark on the audience. The damage has already been done. The following scenes might seem inconsequential for any normie, but they also play a key part in the film. We see a drug-fueled Marcus get into an argument with Alex in the party. Later, Marcus, Pierre, and Alex in a metro talking about how Alex's ex, Pierre, left her sexually unsatisfied. But the most important part comes afterwards, where earlier in the day, Marcus and Alex talk of a heterosexual affair about how Alex had a dream about the red tunnel. The movie doesn't cut short of references to premonition here, and later on it is revealed that Alex cries in glee as she realizes she's pregnant. The final scene, or rather the beginning of the story, show Alex sleeping in a park after reading a book about just that, premonitory dreams, later to zoom out into the strobe, kaleidoscopic effect with classical music in it. The ending title says, Le temps détruit tout. Time destroys everything. And here, this is where my final realization about the movie came in. The main reason why the whole movie started that way, with the beating and sexual assault, and especially in reverse, is not just to confuse the audience. It is to showcase how much of a life, or any life around it, can be destroyed with even someone's bare hands, as long as evil resides in the perpetrator, or even in the feeling of rage that will be fueled by the thirst of vengeance. Nobody in the movie has ever recovered from this, at least positively. Pierre's life is ruined as he faces criminal charges for bringing justice by his own hands. Marcus's body is destroyed. Alex has been destroyed physically and mentally, and Tanya is nothing more than what remains of him. The rest can tell similar tales. As time progresses, the destruction of the life snowballs as long as it keeps being fueled by rage and evil, to the point where no one remains unharmed or alive. There is no healing, there is no recovery. The scars will be there forever, and time destroys everything. As someone who has lived with the trauma of being groomed into the alt-right and then being subjected into literally and figuratively eating shit for it, and believe me, I rarely talk about my situation with a troll who made me nearly eat a log of shit here, but still, I can tell the end phrase that Gaspar Noé's film Irreversible, Time Destroys Everything, speaks volumes about situations similar to mine. Ever since that peculiar situation happened when I was in the far right, and even after I escaped, I saw my reputation and livelihood being slowly destroyed over time, but not just the alt-right trolls themselves, but also by other hostile agents who don't even know me enough to know what I've been through. The Major Arlene's and other sorts of stalkers that I have made sure that instead of healing myself from the trauma of that, I slowly erode my life and sanity to the point of destroying the perception I give to people around me, especially online. Meanwhile, as I felt powerless and without enough resources to fight back, these sorts of people were stronger and more powerful as time progresses, as time passes by, and while I'm able to do nearly nothing. And I mean, what could I possibly do? Bring justice by my own hands? I can't risk getting myself in more trouble like that. We live in a world that is slowly dying by pollution and morals, where law enforcement is incompetent, blind, and crippled, oftentimes even corrupt, where those in power do little to nothing on stopping injustice from happening, and where the wicked souls of evil cannot just get away with it, just nearly anything, but also grow more powerful and influential in society. Hell, we live in a world where the rich get richer and the poor stay poor. What else do I need to say? I rarely agree with Gaspar Noé's nihilistic views on society, though. Even if they depict an accurate portrayal of society in some way or another, something can still be done. And the thing is, time might destroy everything, but that is unless you put the brakes on time itself and start thinking of doing what's right. So eventually, unlike the movie's premise, the damage can be reversible even before it's being done. Good night.